Hey YouTube, this is Nathan with the team MiLE. I'm just going to be doing a deck profile of my MiLE deck or deck destruction deck today. It's also going to be a deck tech video, so you get to know how much the cards cost and exactly how I use them. So let me get started. I run one Lava Golem to get rid of cards from the meta, anything that's pesky on the field. If they get Ryo and something else out, or Chaos Dragon Swarm, Insector Swarm, Six Sam Swarm, takes care of them all. Run one Sangan. He's good to search out many of the cards in the deck, and I'll show you which ones. You can search Warm Worm, which is an awesome card. As soon as this card's destroyed, your opponent mills 3. I love setting him. He even gets to use his effect if Black Rose comes out, if Dad comes out and wipes stuff. The only thing you have to worry about is him being banished, so he's my first search option. My second search option, which I don't like to do a lot, but is AD Changer. AD Changer is nice because he is just kind of a wall. He's not a wall, you just stick him on the field for one turn and then he gets into the graveyard and then you can use his effect. Once he's in the graveyard, you can banish him to switch the battle position of any card on the field during your turn, so he's very useful. If you need him in a tight situation, you can search him with Sangan. Next is 3 Needleworms. They're awesome. Flip them, mill 5. Your opponent has to mill 5 if they attack it or if it gets flipped up for whatever reason. You do have to watch out, of course, if it just gets destroyed, but he is nice to search with Sangan, especially if you're close to the end of the game. One Morphing Jar, stable card in this deck, lets you throw away your hand and your opponent's hand and get more. Thing that's nice about him is there is a limit, so they could have 50 cards in their hand and you could, well, they could have 15 cards in the hand and you could throw them all away and they get down to 5, so they throw away a lot. 2 Morphing Jar 2s, they're just placeholders, but they are pretty good in the deck. Gets rid of a lot of your opponent's spells and traps when he's flipped face up. All the monsters on the field get shuffled back in their respective decks, and your opponent and you mill until you have the same amount of monsters that are level 4. Same amount of monsters. The level 4 or lower can be special summoned and face down defense. So he lets me reset Needleworm, search both of these with Sangan. And then, of course, for hand traps, and in case I need a quick monster, I do run 3 Veilers in this deck. A lot of people don't like running 3 Veilers. I do because I don't mind opening with them. I'll take 3 in my first hand because my deck is so sensitive around my cards actually either being flipped or destroyed properly. If they're banished, it doesn't work. So drawing into 3 Veilers for my first turn, I really don't care. I love it. I'll be able to hold on to the game and then keep going. So all of the cards in this deck are searchable by Sangan, which is the nice thing about that. So Sangan really is a free card, and I really like him. I can go over prices now. Sangan is cheap, of course. I don't know how much he runs for, but wouldn't worry about it. You can probably find one. 3 Veilers runs about $9 a piece, so we're at 27 so far. Ideally 3 Needleworms, or Wormworms, I'm sorry, but I only have 2 right now, so they do cost $10 a piece. So if you were to get 3, you'd be at 30 plus 27. You're at 57. AD Changers are relatively cheap. We'll say $1 for all of them. Puts you at 58. Morphing Jar 2 relatively cheap, 59. Starfoil version is a little more expensive, of course, but it doesn't matter. Let's say $1. Well, yeah, $1. So 50 or 60. I'm sorry. 3 Needleworms at $5 a piece. They come to 15. Put you at 75 for monsters. It is one of the cheapest and quickest deck builds out there right now. Of course, it's not really meta. It's more, I don't know what it is. It's more anti-meta, I guess, but it works pretty well. And Lava Golem, depending on what card you get, it could be $2. It could be 10. So those are my monsters for traps. Do run a little bit trap heavy, but it's okay. I like it in this deck. 3 Dark Bribe. A lot of people don't like this. I love it. Gives them a draw in a mill deck that makes them do something that they might not want to do, especially if you're milling them. And it negates. Can't beat that. Double Warning. I don't run Solemn Judgment just because I don't like it. Judgment is too costly for me, especially if I need to hold on to life points in a game. Although if I'm down to 100, it doesn't hurt, but what are the chances that I'm going to be down to 100 and have Judgment? 2 Bottomless. I finally got a hold of these and the Solemns. Friends were nice enough to give them to me. Bottomless, of course, and Solemn are for getting your opponent's stuff off the field. I don't mind paying a total cost of $4,000 for these, and you may ask, so why don't you run Judgment? I don't mind paying that because, of course, I hope to get that early game and use it before they can do anything, shut down most of their stuff. So you stop 2 monsters from coming on the field, and then you could stop 2+ monsters from coming onto the field because it does simultaneous banish if there's more that come on at once. Run Torrential for Swarm Factor. All my traps except for Dark Bribe are limited to 2, so just watch out for that, but Torrential, double Torrential, just to swarm control. Pricing on this, these can run for about $3, Dark Bribe. These, of course, are 7, I think, right now. So 14 and, what do we say, 14 and 3 apiece. 14 and 9 is 23. Torrential, hopefully pull it in a battle pack. I think it's like $1, so 23, 25, and 6 for 29 plus 60 is 89 we're looking at so far. And then of course spells. And these are all relatively cheap. I don't think I have anything of value in here, so we'll just call it $3. 3 Cup of Ace. That one's been colored, don't worry about that. It's an ice card, flip, either you draw 2 or your opponent draws 2 depending on what side of the coin it lands on. If it lands on heads, you draw 2. If it lands on tails, they draw 2. I love it. I'll either take the draws or they take the draws. Either way, I'm happy. Shallow Graves, extremely necessary for this deck. I call them staples just because they let you bring out anything that you want. That's a flip effect. You can bring out Sangan again, Needleworm, Morphing Jar 2, and Wormworm. So, very good card, although your opponent does get to special. I do like to set up, fill up their field, use Book of Eclipse, and then bring out something with Shallow Grave and Torrential. Gets rid of all their cards. Now, for actual staples, for the meta, Dark Hole and Book of Moon, pretty straightforward. I don't know where my Heavy Storm is. I run Heavy Storm. No, I don't run Heavy Storm. The reason why I don't run Heavy Storm is because I always have my back row filled, always. With this deck, that's what you're going to want to do. It does intimidate your opponent, and they will try to heavy an MST. That's why you have Dark Bribe set, and once they use all 4 of those cards, you'll be in the clear. So, just watch out for that. If they have Layla or something, you have Veiler to discard. Now, a staple card for this deck, also Card Destruction, just to throw away their whole hand. If you open up with Card Destruction, you can do one of 2 things. If you don't like your hand, toss it, especially if you get AD changers. They'll get in the grave, and then you can go from there. Or, you can put all your stuff down and make your opponent toss their hand, so it's a very useful card. 3 Book of Eclipse, another staple in this deck. This is what your deck uses, or this deck uses to keep itself alive. This is my Magic Cylinder, or Mirror Force, whatever you want to call it. Reason why is when they go to attack, you chain it, flips everything on the field face down, everything. So your flip effect monsters that have already had their effects procced, you can flip them back down and reset them. And then your opponent's monsters all get flipped face down till the end phase, and at the end they draw for each. So it's a very nice card, gets rid of tons of cards at a time, and keeps your stuff on the field alive. Last 3 one-day piece, another staple for this deck. I don't really know what to say about one-day piece. I mean, it saves my butt so many times. You draw into it. Okay, yeah, some people might say dead draw. No, you get another draw. Starts thinning your deck, which with MiLE, actually you want to do. You want to make it go as quick as possible, because if you give them time to think and react, they'll really figure out what they can do and start destroying your stuff. One-day piece, you and your opponent each draw. I'll take the draw, and of course they have to draw, and then... what is it? And then you take no battle damage for a turn, so I love it. And I don't attack at all with this deck. You never want to be attacking with this deck. I do sometimes attack with Sangan to proc his effect. Same with AD Changer to get him in the grave, or Wormworm, but I wouldn't focus on that. So, with that, we said about 89, I believe, is what we were at for pricing, and then an extra, let's say, $10 for miscellaneous comments or whatever else you might get if you want more rare versions. You can look at a build for this deck at about 90 to, if you go really fancy, there's a $110 Morphing Jar, so you could pay $600 for this deck, or you could, get complete windups or something stupid. So, if you want to do this cost effectively, it is very cheap and a very fun strategy to run. It does throw your opponents for a loop. I can say good hands against Insectors, good hands against Dino Rabbits, and good hands against Chaos Dragons, which are the top right now, I believe, at least, are going to get shut down. And I do have a special side deck for this. For those of you who watched the profile earlier, you did see that I had cards proxied in. I have all of them now, guys, and I'm really happy. I just need a few more, but this is what I have so far. Now, for those of you who don't know, this side deck is not based around countering the meta. This side deck is based around changing the MiLE deck up. It changes into a little bit of a Macrocosmos MiLE, not really focusing on using any of the monsters, but just removing the stuff from play, because when your opponent's cards are removed from play, it's very hard to access them. Even Chaos Dragons focus on being able to touch the stuff in the graveyard. With my side deck, you're able to lock down Dragons, Rabbits, Insectors, and even windups if you really want to go for it. So, here's what I got. Run 3 Soul Taker, they're priced at about, they can be from 2 to 4, so I'll say 6. 3 Soul Taker. Oop, a little bit mixed up here. 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors for Insectors. That changes the game completely for them. They won't be able to do anything. And for Chaos Dragons, it shuts down half the deck. 2 Necrovalley. Need I say more? Can't touch the graveyard, so that's an awesome card. 2 of them. 3 Mac Cause. The reason why I run 3 is I only would ever, of course, activate 1 at a time, but For siding, people do commonly side MST, and if they see this on the field, I don't mind them taking it as a bait. They don't know how many I have, so I side in 3, and hopefully they waste MSTs or heavy on them. 2 Prohibition. The reason why I run 2 is because you only really need 2. It takes up too many spell slots if you got 3 of these and 1 Macro Cause. Necrovalley is your field spell, and Shadow Imprisoning, you won't be able to really do anything. So just stick to 2 Prohibition, really for any side deck, but it's my recommendation. 2 Dark Core, going to be replaced with something else, but in the meantime, it is a pretty good card. Discard to banish card on the field. And then, of course, D.D Crow for Hornet and anything else that's in the grave that you want to readily get rid of. So, guys, I hope that this helped you and all. Real quick, if I were playing against Insectors, let me show you just a basic side. As you notice, I sided in most of my cards. I have 5 remaining. I sided in 10 for Insectors. I don't know, you know, the real ratio people choose to side in, but this is what I would do. So you get 2 Mirrors, 2 Necrovalleys, 3 Mac Cause, 2 Prohibition, and a D.D Crow. I want more of those. Now, so you're thinking, okay, what cards do you take out? Well, just go through and think. Can't touch the graveyard, so Shallow Grave's useless. Cards that need to go away, can't touch the graveyard, AD Changer. Depending on the kind of deck they run, if they don't run Heavy Swarm, you can scrap Torrential, or if you know that they're running Insectors. It's really hard to Bottomless Insectors, so take it out. Warning, keep, but you might not get to use Lava Golem, just get rid of it. Really just think about what your options are, and I think I have 10 cards picked out here. I have 3, 6, 9, 12, or 11, sorry. So you have options everywhere. I do love this deck, and once again, if you're looking for a quick build, it is very easy to make, and it's very fun to play. If you have any questions, please comment on the video and let me know, and I will be posting, of course, the deck list with this. And hopefully I will be able to use this again in my next regionals. For those of you who don't know, I managed to place top 40th with this deck. I know that's not that impressive, but with this deck I originally didn't have Solemns, didn't have Bottomless, no Veilers, no AD Changers. I was running on, I had paid probably, well, I'd paid 20 bucks for this deck just to purchase cards, and had miscellaneous things in there that weren't really that effective. So this is exactly what I'm running right now. I do play every day with this deck, and it's so much fun. So I hope you guys get a chance to try it out, either on Duel Network or in real life, and let me know what you think. Thanks. Rate, comment, and subscribe.